Hello Arms Control, this is your audio and PowerPoint presentation of your test scope for the test in week 5. Okay, this is the test breakdown. As you guys know, it's 25% of the overall unit mark in terms of its weighting. The test is actually out of 100, but the weighting is 25%, and that is quite a sizable chunk, so please do your best to do the best you can in this test. Remember what I said in class about this also being a dress rehearsal for the exam. The essay structures will sort of be very similar in terms of the way that they're asked, so it will help you, and it is just worth a huge chunk. So if you start off in the unit with a good mark, then obviously it's better for you. Now, in the actual test, you'll be requested to write 2 essays, 50 marks each, and around about 1,000 words each. Now, please note that I'm not going to count your words, and I don't want you to write down 932.5 words at the bottom of each essay in pencil or anything like that. I mean, I know what 1,000 words is, okay, for each essay, and I'll be able to tell if it's too short or if it's way too long. So, just try and stick to that. Cover what you need to cover to answer the question, and make sure that it's roughly around 1,000 words each. Okay, now the list of questions is on the next slide. Please note this. Some of the questions or all of the questions will appear in the test, so please don't spot. I could decide to give you 3, or I could decide to give you all of them, whatever. So there are 4 of them. That's not that much to prepare, so I want you to know all of this work, so please prepare all 4 questions. Okay, you never know what will be there. There will also be a bonus question for additional marks at the end of the test. It's only for a couple of marks, and if you go over the class slides, then you probably would be able to answer that bonus question. But please be aware that spelling does count for the bonus question. All right. Now, the test will be based on the readings and class slides from weeks 1 to 4. So it's important, I suggest that you start with the class slides because that's where the most important information has been sort of amalgamated, and then go to the teaching materials on Moodle under each week from there and just put them next to the class slides and add information to your class slides. Otherwise, there's just sort of too much information to look at, and if you want to save yourself some time and effort, rather do it that way and look at your class slides first and add information to it from your readings. But please make sure you do read, and you don't have to be limited to those readings. You can also go outside of those scopes and look for other readings, read the other readings on Moodle as well that are available. I mean, the more the merrier, really, so you get more rounded ideas about these things. As long as you cover the bare minimum, though, you should be able to pass each question. So it's important that you do cover the test and the slide content. Now, the test will be 2 hours. As I said, it's in week 5, Friday the 24th of August, from 1:30 to 3:30. Try not to be late for that one because you don't get extra time or anything like that. And there's no reading time, unfortunately, so there's no 10-minute reading time, although there will be for the exam. Make sure you have enough pens, and be aware that these are exam conditions, so treat it like that. Make sure you have your student card as well as your ID or your passport. They're going to ask you for as much identification as possible, okay? Now let's get on to the actual questions. As I said before, there are 4, and I think it's important that you prepare all 4 because you don't know what will be there in the test at the end of the day. So I'll go through each question quickly. 1. After graduation, you've taken a job as a research intern at the South African Military Academy in Saldanha, Western Cape. One day you're asked to teach an introductory class on the history and categories of weapons of mass destruction. Write a planning brief for yourself in which you highlight the content that you will need to cover in the class. Now, I don't care what a planning brief looks like. I mean, I'm not preparing you to be a teacher. I'm just doing this so that you could get an example of a practical application of this question, okay? This is actually something that you could possibly be asked to do one day if you did take a research intern job at an institution like a university or a military academy. So this could happen to you. So write an essay in which you cover the content that you think you would need to cover. Make sure you cover the basic stuff that you need to do, okay? And the answer is basically in the question here already. All right, question 2. Historian John Lewis Gaddis referred to the Cold War as the Long Peace. Would you agree? Argue for or against the statement with reference to the policies of deterrence, nuclear proliferation, MAD, and conventional warfare during the Cold War. It's a pretty straightforward question. 3. Write an essay in which you review and critique the bilateral and multilateral efforts undertaken by states with the goals of arms control and/or disarmament since the 1960s. Also pretty straightforward. This content will be covered in week 3. That's this week. Remember, we don't have class on Thursday because of Women's Day as a public holiday, so those slides will be posted online. I'll do an audio recording video as well, lecture for it. Number 4. There are over 550 million firearms in worldwide circulation. That's 1 firearm for every 12 people on the planet. The only question is, how do we arm the other 11? This is a quote by Yuri Orlov from the film Lord of War. Now, although this glib remark is from the fictional film Lord of War, the film was nevertheless inspired by the stories of several real-life arms dealers and smugglers. With reference to the film, discuss the challenges that exist to prevent, combat, and eradicate the small arms and light weapons trade. Now, we're going to be covering small arms and light weapons trade in tutorials over the next couple of weeks, so you'll be able to see some more around the theoretical content there. Okay, those are the 4 questions. Remember to prepare them all. Now, the answers of your actual essay answers will be graded on the following. Your accuracy and quality of your answers, especially in terms of the comprehension of the question. How well did you comprehend the question in the first place? Have you completely misunderstood the question, for example? Do you apply key concepts? Do you understand what they are? Do you define them? Is the essay logical in terms of its application of these key concepts? Have you used the readings that were prescribed on Moodle, and have you gone outside of these readings? Have you included independent critical thinking? This is something that we look for, especially at 3rd year level, so it's pretty key that you have it there. And then obviously, coherence and clarity of expression. I mean, it's got to be a well-organized essay. It can't just be a muddled heap of writing. There must be some logical progression throughout in terms of the way that you've structured your argument. And spelling, punctuation, and grammar is important, although I do concede that I'm not going to take marks off if the spelling is wrong, except, of course, for the bonus question. Remember, I told you spelling is important there. But for the essays, as long as I can understand what you're trying to say, it's fine. But if I can't get what you're trying to say because the spelling is so off, then obviously I can't give you a grade for it because I don't know what it is you're trying to say. Okay, now that really is a short description of the test scope. Please go over everything and make sure you prepare all 4 questions. That's pretty much the key thing again, because I don't want you to spot. All right, good luck with it, and I hope that you have a very good and, dare I say it, fun test.